Now, let's talk about compound interest. I-relate muna natin siya dun sa simple interest kanina. Okay, so let's say na meron kang 100 pesos dito na dineposit. Parang yung kanina lang. Okay? Then, nag-promise yung bank na tutubo yung pera mo by 10%. So, papapansin nyo, ibang letter na yung gamit ko. I will explain that later. Now, syempre, tutubo yung pera mo ng ilang periods. Up until a certain amount of period n. Okay? So, let's say this is the first, second, and the third period. And let's say is in years. Pwede siya ganun, di ba? Again, yung n na to, flexible yan. Okay, now, after one period, magiging magkano na pera mo? Ganito lang yan. Yung interest na yan, of course, i-multiply mo dito kay 100. So, what's 10% of 100? 10% of 100 is of course 10. Di ba? So, ibig sabihin, plus G's lang to dito. Now, magkano ba pera mo kung nadagdagan siya ng G's? Edi obviously, that's 110. I think that's something na alam nyo na. Now, dito mo makikita ang pinagkaiba ng simple interest sa compound interest sa mga susunod na pagtubo ng pera. Nasa pangalan naman, compound interest, parang nagpapatong-patong ang interest. So, ibig sabihin nun is, yung 10%, hindi mo na ngayon i-multiply sa 100 para sa mga susunod na mga period. So, saan mo na i-multiply yung 10%? Dito na sa 110. Nakuha niyo yung pinagkaiba? So, dito mo ma-realize na sa compound interest, ang pagtubo ng pera mo ay nakadepende sa kung magkano yung current na laman ng bank account mo. Which makes sense, di ba? Ibig sabihin, ang tubo mo dito sa susunod is 10% ng 110. Di ba? Which is actually 11. So, what is 11 plus your current amount? Well, that is just your 121. So, continuing the pattern, magkano ang dagdag dito? Of course, that will be 10% of 121 and that is 12.1. So, therefore, your new amount here will be equal to 133.1. Alright? So, comparing it with the simple interest kanina, obviously, mas malaki ang pera mo sa compound interest. Dito lang sila naging parehas sa unang period. Now, let's generalize the concept. This time, mga variables naman pag-usapan natin. Of course, yung dito kanina, that's the present worth. Yung susunod na amount dito, technically speaking, is a future amount or future worth. Alright? So, tawagin ko lang muna siyang future worth sa 1, f of 1. While dito, future worth sa 2 and future worth sa 3. Well, here, this will be the future worth after n periods. Now, based sa nakita nyo kanina, paano nakuha si future worth sa 1? Napakasimple. Nakuha yon by adding the interest dun sa P. Alright? Now, what's the interest again? Now, dito sa unang interval na to, the interest is equal to P times I. Diba? And that actually gave us P times 1 plus I. Alright? Now, ano yung magiging equation for the second? Well, obviously, that will be yung amount before that, before this period, plus, ito na. Again, ang interest nakadepende sa current na amount. Ano bang amount or ano bang pera mo sa period na to? Well, that's your F1. Tama ba? And yun yung ating itutubo. Alright? So, that's the reason why sa susunod, F2, hindi na siya ganito, obviously. F1 na siya times 1 plus I. But wait, there's more. This here will actually increase the power of 1 plus I. And that will actually become 1 plus I squared. Of course, the same goes for F3. Sa F3 ay, again, galing siya sa F2, dinagdagan ng interest yung F2. Anong interest? Again, yung current na amount times the interest rate. So, F3 is basically equal to F2 times 1 plus I. Now, remember that F2 is already obtained kanina. Ito yon, di ba? So, ibig sabihin, ang F3 magiging P times 1 plus I raised to 3 na to. Kasi nadagdagan ng dalawa pang power yung 1 plus I na to. Yung dalawang power na yun ang galing sa F2. So, may napansin kayong pattern dito. Kung anong number nandito, yun lagi yung exponent doon, di ba? Or simply, kung ilang beses siya na compound, yun din ang magiging exponent dito. Alright? And that's basically the reason why the future worth is equal to P times 1 plus I raised to N. So this formula here will be the formula that we're going to use for compound interest problems. So let's solve question number 5. Suppose that you have 10,000 cash today and you can invest it at an interest rate of 10% compounded each year. How many years will it take you to become a millionaire? So, let's try to draw the cash flow diagram. Kahit basic lang siya. Okay? So, ito, 0. And ito, yung di natin alam. We do not know how many years because that's basically the question. Now, it is said that meron ka ngayong 10,000 pesos. Sinabi sa problem na i-invest mo daw yun sa isang account that gains 10% compounded each year. So, take note of this guys because actually, gagawin ko tong opportunity, itong topic na to explain to you the concept of cash flow diagram. Hihimay-himayin natin tong drawing na to because I actually believe that itong cash flow diagram na to yung parang susi sa majority ng mga economy problems. Yung tipong pag na-drawing mo ng maayos ang cash flow diagram, madali na lang isolve yung isang problem. So, ito yung gusto kong ma-master ninyo actually, yung concept nito. So, let me start with this horizontal scale. Itong horizontal scale na to, as mentioned a while ago, is the period. And again, ang period hindi laging nakafix sa annual. Pwede yan maging monthly, pwede yan daily actually. Depende yan kung ano yung compounding ng problem. And in this problem, sinabi that 10% daw to compounded each year. So therefore, ang aking cash flow mas better kung naka-yearly. So halimbawa, this is after the first year, second year, third year, and fourth year. Alright? And this is after X years. Now, based sa sinabi ng problem, magkano na daw pera natin after X years? 1 million. Diba? Because sinabing gusto mo maging millionaire. So, how do we solve X? That's very simple. The formula is F is equal to P times 1 plus I raised to N. All we need to do is substitute here. So, we have 1 million is equal to, of course, 10,000 ito. I would be equal to 10%. So, this will become 1.1 or 1 plus 0.1 raised to, now, ano yung mangyayari dito sa ating N? Okay, simple lang naman to siya, no? Basically, parang magsasubstitute ka lang talaga dyan. Pero gusto ko kasi, immortal kayo. So gusto ko, meron kayong parang pattern dito na ipa-follow na lang para hindi kayo talaga magkakamali dito. Because there's still a chance magkamali ka dyan sa simpleng N na yan. Okay, nagkataon lang talaga, swerte tayo, sa 0 tayo nag-start dito. But anyway, ito na lang ha. Kapag naglagay ka dito ng exponent, okay? Always subtract na lang. Always subtract na lang para hindi ka na mag-isip ng masyado. Alright? So, for you to get from 0 to X, how many periods would it take? It would take X minus 0 period. So, remember this pattern ha. Kung saan patungo yung ating pera, ilagay mo na kagad yan sa unahan. Kung saan galing yung pera, yun naman ngayon yung ima-minus mo. Alright? Ang nangyari actually dyan is parang nag-count ka lang ng ilang periods papunta dun. Kasi if you're going to count that manually, this will be 1, 2, 3, 4, up until X. So, tandaan nyo na lang siguro na mas madali dyan is i-minus na lang yung mga number dyan. And that will give you, of course, X pa rin to. Again, sabi ko nga sa inyo, for this problem, napaka-basic niya. But there might come a time na yung knowledge nyo dito, magagamit mo. Alright? So, solving the value of X here, So, marami ng way para ma-solve yan. You can use trial and error or shift solve. So, I'm going to put it in the calculator. You have 1,000,000, 10,000, 1, pwede ba 1.1 na lang to? Raised to x. Then, shift solve. And I'm going to put an initial value para hindi siya masyadong matagal mag-solve. May choices naman ako dito. Maybe I'll just put 40. Okay? And that should give me 48.32 years. Alright? Now, in the choices, there's 42, there's 36, there's 46, and obviously the nearest is 49. So, ganito guys pag ganito, buti na lang sa problem na to, yung choices ay malalayo. Pero halimbawa, makamit ka ng problem na masyado yatang tricky at masyadong stricto sa mga values. Alright? You need to round this. If ever dumating yung araw na yon, I want you to round this up. What's the reason? Kasi, isipin nyo, kung 48 ka, kung nag-round off ka, edi naging 48 sana to. Hindi ka pa millionaire nun at exactly 48. Think about it, no? Technically speaking, magiging millionaire ka kung sakto to 48.32 something. Alright? So anything less than this will not make you a millionaire. Technically speaking, wala ka pang 1 million. Kung short ka pa, mga 900,000 plus pa lang yun. Alright? So, kung magiging stricto tayo sa bagay na yon, the answer should be 49. Himay-himayin muna natin tong formulang ito. Yung I actually na to, lagi ang equal sa R divided by M. So, ano yung R tsaka M na yan? Si R, yan yung tinatawag nating nominal rate of interest or nominal interest. Yung M, yan yung tinatawag na number of compounding periods. Alright? So, isipin nyo to ha. Normally guys, pag walang sinabi yung problem, yung binigay na percentages, automatic yan naka-nominal. Alright? Unless sinabi talaga sa problem, in-specify na it's actually your I. Ano ba tong I na to? Ako guys, tinatawag ko tong real or true rate of interest. Alright? But in the economy ng mga libro, talagang tinatawag lang siyang rate of interest. Alright? We will explain that in the future. Ngayon, meron din tayo ditong N. Yung N na yan, lagi ang equal sa M times T. Alright? Sa most ng mga econ ng mga libro, itong T na to is actually equal to the number of years. Take note, specific siya. Kung mapapansin nyo, number of years talagang nakalagay dito. Alright? It's because itong M na to is actually number of compounding period per year. So, naka per year actually itong value ng M na to. So, itong M na to, kung isipin mo, nakadepende yan sa statement ng problem. Okay? Halimbawa, sinabi sa problem na compounded annually. Oh, ito yung common. Kasi actually, pag walang sinabi, automatic, annual yun. Ang M mo dito is actually equal to 1. Right? While pag sinabing semi-annual, your M will be equal to 2. And so on. Pag quarterly, 4. Pag monthly, 12. Ngayon guys, bakit ba yan yung mga value niyan? It's because of its definition. It's the number of compounding period per year. Or in short, ilang beses kinompound ang pera sa isang taon. So it really makes sense kung bakit R over M to. And also why N is equal to M times T. Alright? Kasi think about it, no? If T is equal to, let's say, 10 years. If T is equal to 10 years, then ang M mo is equal to 2 kasi semi-annual. Oh, then therefore, how many periods do we have? We have a total of 20 periods. Diba? It makes sense. 2 years na chinap-chap sa tigda-dalawang period will be equal to a total of 20 periods. Let's try question number 6. It says here, 15 years ago, 1,000 was deposited in a bank account and today it is worth 2,370. The bank pays interest semi-annually. What was the interest rate paid on this account? So, i-draw natin yung cash flow diagram. Ayan. So, ano yung mga values dito? Ganito. Sinabing 15 years ago. Ano ibig sabihin nun? Today is always zero in the cash flow diagram. When you hear the word today, now, at present, it's always at zero in our cash flow diagram. Now here, alright, yung horizontal axis mo, well, yes, no? Kung naisip mo siguro, lagay ko na to as years, such that ang 15 years ago, ilalagay ko dito as negative 15. Yes, okay yon kung yung problem naka-annual. Kasi pag hindi mo sinunod yung condition ng problem, well, pwede mo pa rin masolve yung tanong, but mas maguguluhan ka. So, itong recommendation ko lagi sa inyo, guys, no? It's always better to adjust the horizontal scale to fit the condition in the problem. So, pag sinabing semi-annual, change your N here and make it semi. So that lahat ng values dito ay tigsi semi-annual. Meaning, hindi dapat to negative 15 kasi negative 15 naka-years yan eh. Think about it. How many semi-annual periods are there when you have a total of 15 years? Right? Again, you use N is equal to M times T. Alright? So that's 2 times 15 will give you 30. Therefore, there's a total of 30 semi-annual periods in a total of 15 years. Which means that in the cash flow diagram, this should be negative 30. Alright? Again, draw your cash flow diagram ng tama and everything else will be easy. Now, let's put the other given. Okay, so I'm going to put a solid arrow here to indicate na may diniposit talaga na pera. 1,000 pesos 15 years ago. 15 years ago yan ha. Again, 15 is 30 periods. Now, sabi dito, today, it is worth 2,370. Hindi po nag-deposit today. Hindi po. Tumubo lang yung pera. And I'm going to draw dash arrow here. And that's 2,370. And it says here, the bank pays interest semi-annually. We already did that. Consider that. Now, you might think nang hinahanap dito is the true rate of interest or real rate of interest. And it's actually logical to think it that way because sinabing interest rate lang eh. Di ba? Sabi ko nga sa inyo kanina, normally yung I na yan is tinatawag lang ng mga textbook na rate of interest. Alright? But sa most ng mga econ problem, guys, that is not the case. Alright? So, this is coming from experience na lang, guys, ha? For most econ books, the interest rate na tinatanong, pag nagtanong lang ng interest rate, tapos yung condition ng compounding is hindi annually, hindi po ay normally ang tinatanong doon. It's actually the nominal na tinatanong. So, be careful guys ha, kasi again, baka blame nyo ako, sir, sabi mo pag rate of interest sinabi. Again, this is coming from experience, no, sa kasosolve ng mga problem. I want you to give them the nominal rate of interest if they ask for the interest rate nang hindi naka-annual. Okay? So therefore, R is equal to the unknown and we know M and that is equal to 2. Now, again, the formula that we use is F is equal to P times 1 plus I raised to N. Alright? Substituting, we have 2,370 equal to 1,000 times 1 plus, remember that this is R over M. Alright? And that will be raised to ito na. Again, sabi ko sa inyo, I want you to follow the rule here. You subtract. Alright? So therefore, itong interval na to, gawin nating 0 minus negative 30. I think at this point, nakikita nyo kung bakit binigyan kita ng ganitong rule, no? Alright? Para mechanical na yung approach na doon. Hindi ka na masyadong mag-isip. Because this will be equal to 30. Pagdating dito, guys, baka kasi matagalan si shift solve, no? I recommend, i-simplify mo na lang. Madali lang naman siya. This will be 2.37 pag dinivide ko ng 1,000. And this will be 1 plus R over 2 quantity raised to 30. Now, raising both sides by 1 over 30 will give you 1 plus R over 2 equal to 2.37 raised to 1 over 30. Now, kung mapapansin nyo, minus 1 na lang ako dito, then times 2. And that should give me my R. So, calculating, I have 2.37 raised to 1 over 30. And that should give me the value of r, which is 0.058, which is roughly 5.8%. This will be the nominal rate of interest. Now let's try question number 7. It says here, a man opened an account of 200,000 in the bank today at the rate of 3% per annum. After 2 years, he deposits another 400,000. After another 5 years, he will withdraw 500,000 pesos. How much money does he have on his account after the 10th year? So let's draw the cash flow. So this will be my time scale. And if you notice, nilagyan ko na ng 0, 2, 7, and 10. Alright? That's because of this statement mismo. So let's put the given. A man opened an account today. So therefore, nasa 0 yon. And this is the 200K. Alright? Naka-thousands na lang tayo para hindi masyadong malaki yung mga numbers. Ngayon, ganito. Sinabi dito that after 2 years, he deposits another 400,000. So ano ibig sabihin nun? May transaction talaga. Hindi na ako maglalagay ng dash arrow. I need to put a solid arrow here, 400K, because nangyari talaga yung transaction. And if you notice, parehas ng direction. Deposit kasi yan parehas. So dapat parehas sila na magiging direction. Now, sinabi din dito that after 5 years, he will withdraw 500,000. Sir, but 7? Well, obviously because he meant 5 years from this. Diba? So that's 2 plus 5 equal to 7. He will withdraw 500,000. Alright? Now, pansinin nyo ang ginawa natin dito. Baliktad po ang direksyon nung 500K. Bakit baliktad siya? Simply because withdrawal to. Well, this one is deposit. Hindi ko sila pwede iparehas yung direksyon. Alright? Dapat opposite direction siya. And by the way, class, now let me further explain that the direction of the arrows really depends on kaninong perspective yung tinitingnan natin. Alright? So, halimbawa, kung perspective to ng tao mismo na nag-open ng account, tama tong direction ng mga arrow. Kasi halimbawa, pwede mo siya isipin na nabawasan yung pera ng tao kasi transfer sa bank. Yung on-hand money ng person nabawasan kasi na-transfer sa bank. That's why downwards is 200K, downwards is 400K. Pag nag-deposit ka, nabawasan on-hand mo, napunta sa bank. Pero kung perspective to ng bank mismo, think about it, no? Upward ito, tapos upward din to. Tama ba? Kasi pag nag-deposit yung tao sa'yo, kung ikaw yung bangko, nadagdagan yung cash mo. Okay? So therefore, consequently, magpa-follow ito. But in board exam, since di naman tinitingnan yung solution, it really don't matter kung anong direction mo as long as opposite dapat ang deposit sa withdrawal. I hope I am making sense. Now, ano bang question? It is to find the money on his account after the 10th year. Now, pag sinabing after the 10th year, edi dito yan sa 10. Alright? So, nag-deposit ba or nag-withdraw dito? Walang nangyaring transaction dito. That's why I'm going to put a dash arrow. So, we're going to find the future worth here. How do we find that? Na ngayon marami na yung mga arrow. Simple lang. Summation lang tayo. Alright? So, F must be equal to, now, for the 200,000, ilang periods ba siya tumubo? Well, again, ima-minus mo lang yung taon. 10 minus 0. So, putting that here, again, anong mo multiply dito? 1 plus I. What's our I again? I is equal to 3% per annum. Therefore, M is equal to 1. So, diretso na to 3%. Did you get me? Kasi per annum eh. Okay. Now, this will be 1.03. Diba? 1 plus I. Raised to 10 minus 0. 10 minus 0 is simply 10. Ngayon, idadagdag ko lang si 400K. Then, this will be 1.03 ulit. Raised to, ito na. 10 minus 2 is actually 8. It makes perfect sense kasi pag binilang mo yung steps, kung ilang beses tumubo to, that's actually a total of 8 from 2 to 10. Did you get that? Now, this will be minus my 500,000 times 1.03. Now, what will be my exponent here? It will be 10 minus 7, and that will be 3. Now, again, notice that minus siya. Again, it's because withdrawal siya. Now, by solving this and using your calculator, this should give you 229128. And this will be your final answer. So at this point, okay na siguro understanding niyo about cash flow diagram. Idadagdag ko na lang ito. Ano yun, sir? Yung konsepto nung period mismo. Alright? Tanungin ko muna kayo. Asan ang first year sa cash flow diagram na to? Or asan ang second year? Or asan ang third year sa cash flow diagram na to? Assuming na let's say, 0 is today. What I'm trying to ask you is, sino ba dyan sa drawing na to? Yung first year, sino ang second year, and so on. Now, common mistake dito is to think that ito sila yung mga year. I'm talking about the numbers mismo, which basically nandito sa mga spot na to. Now, that is actually wrong. Hindi po yung mga number yung taon mismo. Remember that during our PrepStat, we talked about continuous data, and we know that time is continuous. This actually means that the year will actually occur sa isang duration, hindi sa iisang spot. Pwede mo actually to isipin, tong time scale na to, as parang YouTube video, tas ito yung nagbabuffer sa baba ng YouTube video. Did you get that? Yung time, hindi siya skipping, hindi siya tumatalon. Yung time, guys, is slowly yan nagmo-move. Which means that yung time dito ay yung interval, not those points. So, ibig sabihin, itong interval from 0 to 1 is actually the first year. Itong interval or the space between number 1 and 2 is actually the second year. Sir, ba't mo sinasabi to sa amin? Hindi ba, may silbi ba yun? Yes, guys. Pag inanalyze mo yung mga problem sa econ, nagmamatter talaga yung mga words na ginagamit dyan. Especially na ang ginagawa natin is we're converting words into cash flow. So, kung di mo masyado nagigets yun, patay tayo dyan. So, to further add, 0 must be the beginning of the first year. So, pwede mo siya isipin as, halimbawa, today is 2020. Then, nag-deposit ka January 1 ng 2020. Then, therefore, 0 must be the January 1. Alright? 1 must be the end of that first year. Which means that 1 must be your December 31. But, dito makikita mo din that the second year falls between 1 and 2. Which means that 1 is the beginning of the second year. And 2 is the end of the second year. I hope nakikita nyo na yung pattern dito. Ito, yung third year. Which means that 2 is the beginning of the third year and 3 is the end of the third year. Sana nakatulong yon sa pag-understand fully ng cash flow diagram. Now let us solve question number 8. It says here, Sunny borrowed a certain amount on June of 1990 from Romeo. 2 years later, Sunny borrowed again from Romeo an amount of 5,000 pesos. Sonny paid 1,000 pesos on June of 1993 and discharged his balance by paying 7,500 on June of 1995. What was the amount borrowed by Sonny on June of 1990 if the interest rate is 8% compounded annually? Okay, so I'll just disregard the June kasi kung iisipin nyo, no, wala din siyang silbi kasi lahat June, di ba? Yung year na lang siguro. So let's say this is 1990. Then may transaction na nangyari 2 years later, which means 1992. Then may transaction ulit na nangyari 1993. Then may transaction na nangyari 1995. So I'm going to put that certain amount here. Alright? And I'll call that P, the present worth. So I'll call that P. Although it is not really the present worth because we do not know when is the present dito, no? Sige lang, tawagin lang natin siyang P. Alright? Now, 2 years later, may transaction na nangyari. Ano yon? Remember na nag-borrow siya dito. So, lahat ng utang, ilalagay ko as arrow pababa. So, 2 years later, nag-borrow siya again. Magkano? 5,000 pesos. Nangyari yung transaction, therefore, I'm going to put a solid arrow. 5,000 here. Now, sinabi din sa problem that Sony paid 1,000 on June of 1993. So, saan yun? Dito yun. Ilalagay ko yan as an upward arrow of 1,000. And discharged his balance. What do you mean by that? In short, binayaran na fully yung utang by paying 7,500. Then tinatanong magkano ang inutang ni Sony nung 1990. So to solve that, simple lang, no? Isipin muna natin. Ano bang data ang alam natin at this point? Now we know that at exactly 1990, wala nang utang si Sony. So ano ibig sabihin nun? At this particular point, dapat zero na yung worth ng lahat ng mga transaction na to, considering of course the interest rate of 8%. Did you get that? So ibig sabihin, ganito yung mangyayari. Zero yung future worth, then that should be equal to the future worth of all of these transactions. So therefore, halimbawa, si P, itatransfer ko si P papunta dito. So that will be P times 1.08. Did you get this? Raised to 1995 minus 1990 is actually equal to 5. Alright? Then plus, that will be 5,000 times 1.08. And this will be raised to 1995 minus 1992, 3. Okay? Now, ima-minus ko yung 1,000. 1995 minus 1993 is 2. Then another subtraction of 7,500. And the exponent must be, kung iisipin nyo, 0 dapat yan. Nandito mo din ma-realize guys na kapag nandun ka mismo sa point na yon, kung saan mo kinukuha yung future worth, basically, hindi mo pwedeng i-apply yung interest. It makes perfect sense simply because hindi naman tumubo yung pera kung di naman gumalaw. So by solving this, that should give us a value of 1,611.51. And this will be our final answer.